Hey everybody, welcome to Internet Roundup. That's Josh and I'm Chuck, and we just finished our tandem yoga class.
My hand's sweaty from when it was holding yours.
So that means it can only be time for one thing, and that's Internet Roundup, where we round up the internet, two things at a time.
Yeah, and if you're on a Delta flight right now, hey.
I know. Don't change it yet. It gets better.
Most of the time.
They're like, I could be watching, what's that Ashton Kutcher show?
That 70s show?
No.
My Two Dads is not it. My Three Sons is what you're thinking of.
My Three Sons. Something bad.
Full House.
No, I don't know.
8 is enough.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So today we are going to talk about something relevant for a change.
And topical.
Yeah.
Timely. Boom.
Sean Penn, the actor, and he's a lot of things, but he's an actor.
Yeah.
And director. He met with drug lord El Chapo for 7 hours to interview him for Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah, and didn't hit him up.
For drugs. And you might think, how did he get to El Chapo when no one else can find him? First of all, he's been found. He's in custody.
Supposedly, in part because of Sean Penn.
Oh, really?
That's what I saw.
See, I did not gather that.
Although this is an early report, so could be BS.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, El Chapo is in custody, but Mr. Should we say his real name? Joaquin Guzman Lorea.
Yeah, he typically just goes by Joaquin Guzman or El Chapo, which means the little guy.
Yeah, but he's the big guy.
Yeah, he is.
Or was.
I think he still is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is that he was interviewed, period, because he hasn't done this very much as a notorious hidden drug lord.
Well, he's pretty much the preeminent drug lord in the world as far as anyone knows. He's the head of the Sinaloa cartel, which is a Mexican cartel.
$1 billion.
Yeah, probably the biggest consumer of drugs on the planet is the United States. And one of the big suppliers of those drugs is Mexico. It's a drug trade route that heroin comes in from the Middle East, cocaine comes up from Colombia, and then they manufacture the meth and grow some of the pot that they sell, and all of it comes from Mexico. And the Sinaloa cartel controls a lot of it, and El Chapo controls the Sinaloa cartel.
It's a pretty interesting interview. He opens up a little bit about his childhood, basically saying that, I had to get into this. Like, I had no other way to make money.
Right.
He really excuses himself of any ethical or moral dilemma.
Right, although he does acknowledge that there are moral and ethical dilemmas to selling drugs.
Right. I think he views himself as just sort of just another chess piece of the big game, not more important. Like he said, if I disappeared tomorrow, nothing would change about this business.
Yeah, and he even says, yeah. I mean, like, he's just...
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I think he would have to be dead to not be the head of this cartel still.
So you think he'll run it from American prison?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I mean, he's been in Mexican prison. He's escaped 3 times, been caught 3 times. And this interview actually took place in a clearing on a mountain in the jungle.
It's right out of Narcos.
So Sean Penn, I just want to make sure that everybody is... Sean Penn did this
He's married
interview.
to Madonna.
I don't think he is anymore.
No, he was.
Right.
Yeah, it's been like 25 years.
Sure.
Yeah. This is the same guy who's sitting down with El Chapo.
Have you seen The Gunman?
No.
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Surprisingly good. I had read a review that said it was just another tired vehicle for a middle-aged guy who wanted to do an action flick.
So you said, that sounds great. I'll check
I
it
was
out.
like, let me see that. No, but it was really good.
Well, interesting interview. Why not Sean Penn? After I started looking into it, I was like, well, who cares who it is? He got hooked up with him because El Chapo really wants to make his own movie about himself.
Right.
And so he'd been in touch with actors and producers, and this one woman actor contacted Sean Penn about it, and he said, hey, I'd love to interview the guy.
Yeah.
And El Chapo said, sí, because he doesn't speak English.
Right. So there you have it. Sean Penn and El Chapo. BFF.
Together at last.
So what's up next, Chuck?
This is something called toxic shock syndrome.
Yes.
And if you were a woman in the 1980s and you were menstruating, you might have heard a lot about this because there was a big scare.
It was huge in the 80s.
Yeah, that toxic shock syndrome, which can kill you, was being caused by super absorbent tampons.
Yeah, here's the thing. They don't know why. They
Yeah.
still don't know why. But toxic shock, I used to think that, toxic shock was something that the actual tampon itself gave you or something. Like it was chemicals leaching out of the tampon.
Not true.
And like you went into shock because of this introduction of chemicals. No, it isn't true.
Yeah.
Toxic shock syndrome is caused by an infection, right?
Yeah, it's a bacteria called Staphylococcus bacteria, and it doesn't just strike not only menstruating women, but it can strike anyone.
Well, yeah, it's staph.
Yeah.
It's a staph infection. The problem is it's a particularly bad staph infection, and they think probably the reason why super absorbent tampons in particular were giving women toxic shock was that they were huge.
Yeah.
And they were causing like just tiny microscopic cuts inside the vagina.
Yeah.
And then it was allowing it to become infected.
That's the only thing they can come up with.
Yeah,
basically.
they're still not 100% certain. So what they did was just get rid of super absorbent tampons.
Yeah, for the most part. Even though they said that is not the only cause, it was definitely stronger. 17 per 100,000 menstruating women who use tampons would get it, as opposed to a 0.52 per 100,000 for the general population of men, women, and children.
Yeah.
So there was something to it.
I mean, you can get it from like a burn.
Yeah.
It's a staph infection that enters your bloodstream, I think. And it's particularly bad. I mean, you can, like your blood pressure drops, you can have seizures, and you can die.
Yeah, and it looks like the flu at first, which is a big issue because some people might not go to the doctor right away. But they said one telltale sign is a sunburn-like rash on the palms of the hand and soles of the feet. So if you got the flu and that going on, go to the doctor.
You go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't have the flu. If you suddenly have a rash on the palms of your hands and soles of your feet, go to the doctor. Just call 911. They'll be like, yeah, it's a good idea that you called us.
Yes.
And it's a good idea that you watched this episode of Internet Roundup, isn't it?
Yeah. El Chapo, toxic shock syndrome. We're really covering the gamut here.
You really are.
All right, well, we will see you. We got to get back to the down dog position, and we'll see you next week on Internet Roundup.